I'd rather deal with Amin, who was honest, so that you don't waste people's hopes. If you are going to exile, you walk quickly. If one tribe dominates the rest of us, it is a danger.
Hello, our dear love reviewer and listener of The Ivan Show. Thank you for being an incredible audience over the past 2 years. Hosting the show has been honor, a platform where we have connected through powerful, inspiring stories. As I step away to pursue new path in my career, I do so with peace and gratitude. This show will continue in the great hands with a new host beginning with fresh energy and perspective. And who knows, if life ever brings me back, I will reconnect with joy and host the show again. For this special sign out of this episode, I'm honored to host a remarkable woman, Honorable Salaam Musumba. Is a veteran politician, development consultant, and an outstanding advocate for change. A woman from Mbare to national leadership is nothing short of inspiring. Let's dive into her story in her own words. Welcome to the Ivan Show, Honorable Salaam Musumba, once again, and
Thank
thanks
you
for
very
allowing me
much.
to speak to us.
Thank you.
Yes, from the start, we want to due to public demand from the previous show I hosted with you.
Yes.
People have picked a lot of interests, and their comments, calls, inboxes. They want to understand who is Salaam Musumba right away from her childhood, from Mbare or Kamuri's areas, a national stage now, who is a very outstanding figure. Who is Salaam Musumba in her childhood?
Well, you're talking to Knight. That's my childhood name.
Yes.
Proscovia Salaam Musumba. I was named Nightingale. I think out of the World War experiences of Florence Nightingale, who offered a lot of support, medical support during the World War. And so it was a lovely name, like you hear many kids were named Diana after Princess Diana. So I was named after Nightingale. They cut it short as Night. So when you come to my village, in Namwendwa, they'll tell you this is Night. I'm Proscovia Salaam Musumba. I'm Proscovia Salaam as my maiden name, and I add Musumba as a marriage name. So I have packaged me as Salaam Musumba.
Salaam Musumba.
Yes.
Yes, is a daughter to?
Well, I'm the firstborn of a family of girls only, of a man who is known more for his profession as a medical assistant in Namwendwa, Tom Ziraba, and my mother, who is a nurse, Lukiana member Ziraba. Both were alive.
Both are still alive?
Yes. And God has given them to me a long, long time, and I thank God for that.
How old are they now?
I am 60. So
no, the parents now.
If I'm 60 plus 20,
they are 80.
They must be 80.
So they are as old as our president.
I don't know whether they're as old as themselves.
Yes. Okay, then your education, where do you start?
Well, I started my education in a village school called St. Teresa Chidichi. And it was a mixed school, boys and girls. I was there up till P2. I was going to P3, primary 3. And my parents made a decision that I should go to a boarding school. And so I was shipped to St. Teresa Primary School, Namagunga, where I studied my primary and crossed over to Mount St. Mary's College, Namagunga. So in all, I spent 13 years in Namagunga on that hill.
That means you are a planned kid, because parents who managed to put their daughter in boarding that time,
Yes.
really, they are not everyday people.
No, mine was, I was a loved child.
Mm.
Very loved, I can tell you. I am still a loved child.
Mm.
And I bask in that love.
Mm.
I'm sure you can see it glow in me. I'm not a mistaken child. I'm not an unwanted child. No, I'm a loved child. And I think that's what makes me me. And so I left Namagunga in 1983
After P7.
after S6.
S6.
Yes,
You
because I
finished
was in
S6 in
primary, St. Teresa Primary School. I crossed to Mount St. Mary's College, Namagunga. They're just across the road of each other. And I was there for 6 years and went to Makerere.
Makerere University.
Yes,
from
Makerere
Namagunga.
University.
Yes.
So from Makerere University, where I did a Bachelor of Arts in Social Work and Social Administration.
Yes.
I excelled. Like I excelled in all those other places. And I went to Nottingham University.
Straight away after Makerere?
Straight after Makerere, yes. I went to Nottingham University.
How did you manage to achieve that?
Nottingham University, I got there because I was, I think, the best girl in my class. The other lady who we graduated with, who got an upper second at that time, died before graduation. And so Jovanis was her name, Bahimuchi. And so I was the only one with that type of degree then.
So you were taken because of your performance?
Yes, it was performance. I got a scholarship from Ford Foundation. And that scholarship was a free scholarship to study anywhere in the world for 2 years.
So for you chose Nottingham?
So I chose Nottingham. And I didn't choose Nottingham because it was my first choice. No, it was the only choice I had, because the other universities, the American universities, you needed to take a TOEFL test, and those TOEFL tests were being done, and a GMAT test. They were being done in Kenya, and those were difficult times. I couldn't access them, and so I went where those were not requirements. English tests and aptitude tests. So I went to Nottingham.
So I want to inquire, on a night you were going to have a flight to Nottingham, how did you feel?
Well, I was already working when I went to Nottingham. I must tell you that I had 3 jobs. I was a teaching assistant. Yes, I was a teaching assistant, a tutorial assistant in Makerere University. I was also working for the Red Cross as a field officer. I was also working for Uganda Management Institute as an assistant lecturer. UMI. And the biggest thing I had with me was time, because I could have a lecture, maybe 2 lectures a week in UMI. So I wouldn't stay there and just fill crossword puzzles. In Makerere, I was being a teaching assistant, maybe other 2 lectures. And so my full-time job was working for the AIDS control program in the Uganda Red Cross Society.
Was it your first time to board a plane?
No, it wasn't. Because I was working for a very hectic program, HIV AIDS control and blood donor recruitment in the Uganda Red Cross Society. I was privileged to be a frequent traveler. By that time, I had already traveled to Dar es Salaam for WHO conference. I had traveled to Germany for an AIDS conference. We'd been to Sweden. We'd been places. So it was not news flying. And in any case, coming from Namagunga, a child that has been in Namagunga, there are very few things that really
don't excite you.
They don't excite me at all. Not at all. Because flying was like walking, it was like driving. And so we were not the excitable kind of people.
With such type of character, what key moments shaped you in life?
Well, I was a very shy girl, and I am still very shy. You won't believe that. And I'm a person who loves talking more to myself. Quiet. I enjoy reading novels more than watching films. I like the quiet moments when I'm talking to myself, when I'm thinking, when I'm reflecting.
How was your relationship journey during secondary and university?
Well, I was in a girls-only school, so it was a free environment, a very lovely environment. And every other person in that school was your sister. Because we weren't many like you. See, in Namagunga Primary, the whole school was about 300 kids. So we practically knew each other, knew each other's parents. 300 of us for 7 years is a long time. And then 6 years in secondary, it was a long time too. So you lived in a community. You lived as equals. These days, kids go to school with a lot of stuff. But in primary, for instance, we never took clothes. We had uniforms. We had a Sunday uniform. We had a changing uniform. We had an everyday uniform. We were actually the same. This is a place we had all the top-notch parents and families bringing their children. We went to school with so many ministers' children, with the president's children, Idi Amin's children, and it was easy. I mean, there was no classification that these are rich, these are poor. We were just normal kids.
Okay, at university, did you ever have any serious relationship with a man, boyfriend, what? Because
yes, I got Isaac Musumba from university.
That is the only boyfriend in your life. Now your husband.
Why don't you leave it at that? Yes, we met at university. Yes, and therefore he gave me his name, and I became his wife.
Okay, when do you welcome the entry into politics? And what inspired you?
Politics, I got to politics. I was actually thrown into politics. Working for the Red Cross has very serious code of conduct, very strict rules, in that the first mandate of Red Cross is to save lives during war.
Yes.
And so it started, my interest in politics started when Southern Sudan got trouble. And all the people fled to Koboko. And so I was deployed in Koboko at the reception center. And I noticed, and I was angered by what I saw, very eminent families, well-settled families, all uprooted and distorted and disrupted, and had to run into refugee camps in Koboko. And when you're giving out saving kids, you're just giving to statistics, you know? So I thought to myself, for how long will I give out supplements and dry rations to people fleeing conflict? That time there was conflict in West Nile, there was conflict in northern Uganda, there was conflict in Teso. And so I thought that was Lakwena in Busoga. So I said to myself, for how long will I be at the receiving end of byproducts of bad politics?
So when you saw such, it
so I was just angry because I'm a social worker. I thought to myself, I must go and stop this. And the place where all this confusion is generated is in politics. And so it was the time of the constitution making process. I was also invited by.
You're part of SC?
No, I didn't. But I participated in the campaigns in CA. I was a candidate. But I was invited by elders. I did not take myself. I was invited by elders the district leadership. They asked me, they invited me to go and participate in the constitution making process. And their rationale was they were looking for a girl who was well educated. And I was the only person in the whole of Busoga at that time with a master's degree. And so they invited me because they were looking at other areas. We're bringing very, very, very sharp, knowledgeable people. They would point to the Ben Watchers, they would point to the Winnie Animas, they would point to the Cecilia Wells. I don't know what they saw in me, the Miriam Matembes. So they invited me to be part of that group, to bring Kamili's voice. They had wanted me to be the woman.
I think also they were striking the regional balance.
No, they weren't. There was no balancing. They just wanted me, and they wanted me not because of me, because of my father. I was my father's daughter. And so they wanted me. My father at that time was a councillor at the district. So they wanted me because they believed I was knowledgeable enough
to make
a contribution, and also not to betray them, because that was a very difficult time. People had experienced betrayal during the Obote II time, and they were very, very jittery about that. So when I was invited, they invited me for the woman's seat. I was honest with them. I said I can't afford it because it was too much hard work. By that time, Kamli was as far as Kalido and Boyende. It was really big. I just did not have the mental capacity and the energy that was required and the resources required. So then I zeroed on Bugabla South, which was a new constituency. I didn't make it, but I later made it in Parliament on 2 terms.
Actually, still on Parliament.
Yeah.
Which major political positions did you occupy after entering politics?
Well, when I went to Parliament in 1996, I was really...
You entered Parliament when I was not yet born.
You see, I was really an amateur. I was a child in politics, if I would say it. So I took time to learn the ropes. I took time. I remember it took me 1 year. I would be the first in Parliament and the last in Parliament, just to learn from the seniors. And I offered myself to do the jobs of research. We never had researchers. We had no offices. But to build trust and build a political base, a social base. Remember, we're being elected by individual merit. So we had to prepare ourselves. We formed a young parliamentary association, where young meant being in Parliament for the first time and also being young. And we formed a caucus that would help us to grow ourselves politically. And so I was elected to be the coordinator, the development coordinator of the Young Parliamentary Association. And we did so much outreach. We went out to the countryside, we presented ourselves to the people of Uganda, and because we had the privilege to implement the first constitution that was homemade, we wanted to network with the population, to meet the population so that the population knows who their leaders are, to give them confidence that this is a new country we want to build. We are the people that are doing it. Feel free to advise us and to grow us. And so we at our own cost, we would go out in the countryside and meet the people, and that was the Young Parliamentary Association.
What experiences do you still remember, or do you still anchor on when you are a Kamuli district chairperson?
I love Kamuli. I loved it. I loved being their first woman chairman of the district. And I was the first woman chairman from the bridge here on Choga to Karuma. And so I enjoyed all the attention to me. I enjoyed the work I did. And by the time I left, I had been rated #2 in the whole country.
Oh.
And I went to Kamuli through a by-election. It wasn't full term, so I had only 3 years to do work. But this the work I loved best, because you are in constant contact with the people. You live with them, you work with them, and you help solve problems that face the people every day. In my mandate, my rallying call was that I should put smiles on people's faces, and that's what motivated me to be there. And I can assure you, I loved that job.
What personal and professional challenges do you remember that you faced that almost stopped you from achieving your vision and goals in
Well,
professional world?
it occurred to me finally that I was a woman, and that a woman was expected to be different in the way they lead and the way they work. And I'd never felt that way, or been forced to feel that way. And it was so demeaning for people to think that I was actually just a woman, nothing else. And it occurred to me what it feels to be a woman, what it is, the practicalities of it. Because I would go to council and they would fail all the motions I brought. And I would ask why. And they say, well, how can we allow you to overshadow us?
Because you are a woman.
Because you are a woman. I keep describing this to my colleagues and said, being a woman, first of all, has its own shortcomings in dealing with a society. They are like heads of departments. If I ask for a report, the first thing they would see in me is that I'm a woman.
You're a woman.
And I say, please give me a report. Don't waste my time. You are expected to report to me, and please do so. And they found it very, very difficult.
So
very, very difficult.
Having a boss who is a woman was a problem to them.
Oh, it was a big, big problem. I don't think they have even recovered from it.
Till now.
Yes, because I had to be a bully.
So now we are the media matembe.
I had to be a bully. I had to do things that they were not used to. Yes, I had to use more energy than was required. And yet I had wanted them just to be my colleagues so that we serve the public together. But that undertone of, and I would eavesdrop into their conversation and say, just a woman. And I say, what makes them think so?
That a woman cannot.
That I'm doing this because I'm a woman. I'm doing this because I'm a human being, a capable human being. But I had to tone down to give some kind of latitude for them to be, to live with me, to understand me, and to work with me. It took a lot of self-reflection to get to that.
What has changed in Ugandan politics since you have been there?
Oh, it's more like we have moved from very polished politics to gutter politics. The gutters, sewers. We are in the gutters. We are just.
Or like how Mao paraphrased it, that kumanyoko politics.
That is even better than gutters. The filth in the gutters.
Yes.
I mean, there's no politics. Politics is such a beautiful undertaking. It has its own code of conduct. It has its own taste, which is civilized. But now we are in raw politics.
From Chazanga sent me a message, actually on TikTok. Even we can trace it after the show. He asked me to help him understand. You differentiate because we are sure you were there during a meantime when we are already old and understanding.
I was. Actually, the day I mean, overthrew Obote. I was going to P1.
You are going to P1.
Yes.
Yes. So between Amin regime and this Museveni regime, you help and make comparisons because majority of us were not there at that time. But now Museveni regime is condemning Amin seriously.
You can't. Actually, this regime now makes Amin look like a saint. And yet we had sworn.
Because we knew that Amin killed people, Amin was a butcher.
Yeah.
But we are wondering,
but if you're killing young people, if you're killing young people, you're kidnapping people in broad daylight. Amin kidnapped people in broad daylight, put them in the backs of boots, in the trunk, and they were found dead in Namamve. Found dead in Namamve.
Out of this government?
This government, if you know what I know, the people dying. For instance, do you know the people who died, the soldiers that died from South Sudan, from Juba just 2 weeks ago? Do you know how many? 560.
Oh.
Yes.
That information
collateral damage. Collateral damage. You know, people's children, because they don't bury them in one cemetery. They take one to Bajiri, 2 to Bushenyi, 3 to Kabong, 10 to 1. They are not buried on the same village, so you don't know. But people's children are dying out of senseless military engagements. Those ones that came from Somalia were too many. The ones of Congo are equally as many, you know. Then there are these political ones that die without a trace. Many people's, you see, because we people come to us to make complaints or to seek for help. That's how we know.
Okay.
That's how we know. And so, but obviously, look at what happened in Ibanda. The policeman who was killed.
Yes,
the Chemonges, an angry mob. This is what is visible to the public, but there are many, many more things that are happening
that are not in the public
are not in the public eye.
Life beyond.
And so, I mean, did not make any of these promises, false promises of democracy. I mean, woke up one day and said, listen, I had a dream. God told me to rule for life. And so
he was direct.
He was honest. So we knew he was going to rule life president, Idi Amin Dada. And yet you have a life president here. Masquerading in democracy, in the cover of democracy. I mean, it's a joke. I'd rather deal with Amin, who was honest, so that you don't waste people's hopes. If you are going to exile, you walk quickly. If you are abandoning politics, you leave it to those who can afford. Not to engage them in a pseudo democracy, which is actually a dictatorship, a military dictatorship. Amin gave himself a title of Field Marshal, the highest. These ones are generals. They would have given themselves Field Marshal by now if it wasn't for fear of looking like Amin. The NRA overthrew the Obote government, the Obote 2 and the Lutwas on 25th January. That day Amin overthrew Obote. So they just delayed it, you know?
Yes.
Fraud. They delayed it and said, let it not look like 25th. I was at university and I remember all this. So they announced on 26th, but the takeover was 25th. So they look alike. Amin was vicious largely because there was a potent war in the neighborhood starting from Tanzania. Today there's no declared war by anybody anywhere. And yet they hunt down kids, they hunt down political opponents, they hunt down Dr. Besigye and anybody.
Okay.
So the difference is not much to me.
I know, Honorable, now when we take into politics, we can even sleep here.
Yeah.
How is your life beyond politics? How do you
Oh, I
find your
love
life?
myself. I'm an ordinary person.
Mm.
I'm an ordinary person who lives a normal life.
Do you get family time?
Of course, I raised a family. I raised a family of about 10 children. And they are grown up now, they're adults. I have grandchildren. Yes.
Are you still grounded with your profession of
My profession is the best profession because I understand society thoroughly well. And I'm able to track the different phases of a society, a failing society, a dying society. I can read society because I grew up in that society. I grew up in a village, and I keep telling my children that the standard of living you see in Kampala is what was in my village in Namwendo. It was obscene to live in Kampala. No, why would you live in Kampala? Too much noise, too many things, too many bad things it was associated. We lived in the village and we lived happily, we lived well.
What?
But today everybody is running to Kampala.
Yes.
Kasokoso, without appropriate housing, appropriate services, a traffic jam. On Saturday, I was caught in a traffic jam between Chireka at the SDA church. I left the SDA church at 2
p.m.
2 p.m. And I reached Boyogerere at 9 p.m. September when the Kabaka was refused to go to Bugerere.
Yes.
You remember what happened when they would say Tambulango Muganda. You think that anger has gone away?
By the way,
that anger has not gone away because we have not fixed it. Sing the national anthem.
The Buganda anthem.
The Buganda anthem. You say Omfaliso. You know?
So they detect the accent.
That is bad.
And that's what you see that
this must be averted. And we can only avert it by speaking with you. Because you are our brothers. We speak with you and tell you that we continue like this. Do you know how many people have left the city? Their businesses have been ruined and replaced by you because you are in the Uganda Revenue Authority. You increase taxes for the Nanbanyankole and you take away their businesses. Do you know about that?
But do you know the Banyankole were suffering terribly more than even other
Yes, we know that. That there are Banyankoles who have lost business. I will tell you, I'm not able to separate Bachiga and Banyankole. I'll tell you that James Garuga's business has been ruined largely because of politics.
What about Chapa Karuhanga?
Chapa Karuhanga is in exile. Is in exile today. Exactly because he's not an NRM. You see? I mean, it's so painful what the damage you have inflicted on yourselves and the damage you are inflicting on us, the rest of Uganda. You can imagine if you do that to Chapa Karuhanga, you do that to James Garuga, you do that to Besigye. What haven't you done? You've ruined so many of your colleagues' lives, fighters in the war of Luwero. You have systematically edged them out. You have paid yourselves. One day I'll tell you who is the biggest landlord in Kampala. Here. Who owns all those high-rise buildings in Kampala? We know.
Are they the names we know also?
The obvious ones. Can you imagine somebody having over 1,000 land titles in Kampala?
Which job is he doing that earns him all that money?
Politics.
So that's why politics
because you see,
is the business.
I will tell you that these buildings will expose the owners. And it's a matter of time. The research we are on. It's a matter of time. We are going to show it to the people.
You give him a clear answer. I asked you the other time that what can you do to Banyankole given chance and space that you take power?
One thing is I would defend them.
Sure, with the bitterness you have.
I am so bitter. That is why I speak. But I hold no hatred. Not at all. Not at all. I'm just bitter, but I have no hatred. What for? And anybody who knows me will tell you that Salaam, after she said something about it, that's enough. These are things we discuss with Dr. Besigye. These are things we discuss with the entire leadership of our party, because this is what we want to avert. We don't want you, I will tell you, they've just given out jobs in URA. Do you know how many Banyankolis are there? Do you know?
Wait, who are you in the recruiting or the recruitment?
Somebody from people from my village wanted jobs. They did not.
But I know.
And so they came to me and said, Salaam, you know what's happening? This.
Oh, they never
so
qualified.
they qualify. What do you read at school that we don't? Which universities do you go that our children don't go to? Why?
But for me, I think when you are quite 1,000 people, they need 100. Definitely, all of you will not.
Do you know you have taken away all the education opportunities of the whole country? You are the ones who have gone to St. Thomas University, Minnesota, Minneapolis. You are the ones getting the State House scholarships. You are the ones getting scholarships through other ways. There's a guy I met in Javas, a young man processing a scholarship to a UK university from the military. I don't think he had even finished training, cadet. I said, but I mean, why do you do this to us? Why do you create an imbalance that is going to cause you problems? You mean every other DPC we will see will be from Ankole? Every DPC.
They may be having good leadership skills.
Wow. Which ones do you have? Even if you had them, this country doesn't belong to you alone. No.
But we have seen police officers from North also.
Which ones? These ones who have labels, Akena. When your face is a Chinyankole face, you even call Akena and they can't answer. Because that label was given to them in the morning. They don't even remember that it's written on their
So given a chance and space, you can clean all that rotten system.
It's inevitable. We have to clean it. You have left us no option.
For us now, with you, with the bitterness people are seeing,
yes,
they feel if we take power,
yes,
now we are going to quadruple.
And we will take power.
That is the hope.
No.
We all have.
Even if you have guns, we will take back our power. Because this country was formed by 15 nations. One nation cannot overrun all of us.
Can delay, but it cannot.
It is inevitable. Do you know the Roman Empire? Do you know how far it was? Didn't it collapse?
It's a matter of time.
It's a matter of time.
How Mugisha Munt said.
It is a matter of time. And the Mugisha Muntu have been very, very kind to you people and said, please don't do this. It has been done many, many times. Don't. How stupid can we be to replace the very people we disposed? I mean, which stupidity is this? If I make my money, I try to defend it. And I befriend everybody else so that I can have my money on me. I don't annoy the rest to come for it. I don't.
And you make your money, you eat your money in peace. And
I even befriend. That's why people go into charities. All the thieves look for charities to give money to. That is why there's Rotary, to clean up bad money. Yeah? To return to society so that it's like laundering your image.
Yes.
Okay? You recreate yourself.
When they begin foundations.
They begin foundations, they begin all sorts of things, but to give back to society, which you stole from.
So they are giving back what they stole from them.
Yes. To buy peace. They are buying peace through the back door.
But do you think people from Oksoga, all of them are very okay? Or they also have some issues? But you are not focusing on them and you are focusing on the Wanyawari.
Yeah, every region has its own issues. But we were the richest region next to Uganda.
What happened along the way?
The guns that brought you into power changed it. and you cannot change the history of this country. We powered the industries of this country from the Owen Falls down. We created wealth for the nation. But because there was equity, we thrived and you thrived. When new money came to replace old money, the first theft was in currency review. Currency review.
Under the leadership of Mutevere Michael.
The president. It was not Mutevere. Mutevere was following an order.
Was a governor?
Yeah, no, he wasn't a governor.
He was not a governor.
He wasn't a governor.
So you mean president is taking on all the sectors?
A president is a president.
Is the fountain of honor?
No, not even honor. The commander-in-chief. Yes. He's the CEO, the chief executive officer
of the country.
Yes. So you robbed us because the people who had money and those who didn't have money changed roles. The ones who didn't have money got the money out of that robbery. 1 million shillings. You go for a currency reform. You return with 7,000. Who stayed with 970,000?
It was serious.
Yes, this is robbery. And we can tell now. Our fathers had a lot of money. They didn't put it in the bank. It was under the beds.
Under the beds in the pots.
Yes.
Yes.
And all that money was taken from them. They've never recovered since.
That's how bad and how far you have traced this regime of your.
We can tell. They went and vandalized Nitel in the name of privatization. They vandalized it.
But it was the one responsible for making masks during COVID.
It used to employ 4,000 workers. Majority were Basoga. They would ride their bicycles from Namlesa and work.
So the reason it was vandalized because it was dominated by your.
No, it wasn't that. A bad policy made 4,000 families lose their livelihoods. And they went back to Busoga and they're rotting. They didn't stop there. They found a working railway network. The biggest line of railway network was in Busoga. We even had what they called Busoga line. That was vandalized. Over the years, all the people who used to earn a living from the railway line fell through. The industries were closed, vandalized, given to themselves. You know? Now they finished that, they go for the lake. The biggest part of the lake is in Busoga. Lake Victoria. Lake Choga. The military took over the waterways. They threw out, they broke boats, they broke economies. They killed people, drowned them in the lake.
But you talk to Museveni, what should he do? Because I know he's going to get this.
But what can he do?
He should vacate power.
No. And I don't want him to vacate that way. He's going to leave. I don't want him to remain there. He has locked himself in a prison. He's in a prison of power. He doesn't know when to leave because we had given him a safe exit, term limits, age limits.
He abused them, so
now he's left to himself. You know, when you're looking through a cage, now what do I do? What do I do? It's a cage. He's a prisoner like the rest of us. And it's sad. This shouldn't be happening to President Museveni because he took us from far.
But people say he's taking back too far.
We are already past where he found us. Life is not buildings. Life is not buildings. If buildings were life, Muammar Gaddafi would still be alive.
So he has failed to run from his counterpart.
But it is people. Leadership is about people, how they feel and how they live.
You can, and then you take us picks. For us, let's continue the
conversation. Because what had happened, schools are all put on in the wrong places. All the schools had visiting days. Okay?
Visitation days of schools, so many cars.
And I mean, why visiting days on a Saturday? It was crazy. It was crazy. So we grew up in an environment better, 10 times better than the one today. We had health facilities. My parents were medical people. We grew up in Namwendwa Health Center. It had a telephone. It had an ambulance. It had bed sheets for patients. It had food for patients. You know? It had blankets. I mean, if then patients would have blankets and bed sheets and their beds were made by the nurses, what has happened today?
Things have, I think you look at leadership.
Poor leadership, miserable leadership, you know, just misery itself.
Okay, Honorary, what advice do you give to young people on leadership, purpose, and resilience?
You know, when I was young, And being young is not a permanent address. It's a stage in life. There are things they're expected to do because you're going to grow up. Okay?
Yes.
When I was young, I wasn't thinking of being an MP, of being a leader. Lead who? What did I know? All I wanted was to go out dancing. We go out in the evenings and listen to, on the weekends, we were professionals. Professionals. We would leave our work on a Friday, meet up with friends, go and have a drink, go to Crested Towers and listen to music and go home. If Lucky Dube comes to make a presentation, we would pay. Proud and good people. We were raising families, you know.
So these things in
political struggles in Bundi, Butulimu struggle yachi. Our parents had to fix the things.
Yes.
You know? And so you have a generation of people who have missed youthfulness, who have missed progress. So they're fixated in psychology. They call it fixation. You have missed a stage in your life. And so you have missing links. You are not whole. Olinamwe bituli in your life.
Yes.
And those bitulis show up in the way you do your work. Yeah, in adulthood.
All right, Honorable, thank you so much for being a lovely host, for a lovely guest. You have given us your story, and maybe the takeaway that people, if I do this, I end the show before you give them this takeaway, I know they will kidnap me alive.
Which one is it?
They want you to comment that, do you still confirm and reaffirm the statements you made on Wanyankore in our previous show that we hosted?
Listen, I'm being honest with you, my friends. And the overriding thing is that I really love you people. I have nothing against you. I'm cautioning you that if you don't know how these things are affecting us, hear from me. I'll tell you, I get out of the plane, I go through the immigration in Entebbe, and I walk out, and the only language I hear is Runyankore. I get angry.
Why?
I've seen that before. I keep telling you. There were people here, and wherever you walked, they would say Ningo, Ngonia, as you say, Hatch, Origi. It reminds us of bad things.
So I think you got,
because if one tribe dominates the rest of us, it is a danger to the country. English and Swahili are the official languages. Runyankole has never been an official language. And it cannot be all over us. No, please.
So
no.
They speak to you in Runyankore or to themselves? When they are speaking with a different person, they communicate.
Have you ever been in a toxic environment where people think that the official language is Runyankole? I mean, how can you endanger yourselves like that? And how can you endanger us? Because we thought we were your brothers.
You are our brothers and
You have disowned us. Because the minute you start short waving, as we used to call it, the rest of us are alienated. So please find it in yourself. And I say this in good spirit. You have tipped the balance. You have broken the equilibrium of sanity. You are angering a lot of people. And if we don't tell you, you will face the anger of the rest of Uganda. And I don't want that to come to pass.
Thank you, Honorable. We are going to have more editions for TikTok, and is going to explain this very issue in the next edition. Thank you so much.
I'm always available to discuss this matter because it's a hard subject. And you are lucky to hear it from me. Because there are others that are not talking. They're just planning. Me, I'm only talking and advising my brothers, my sisters. One of my girls is married in Ntungam. Do you really think that my grandchildren, I want to endanger them? Do you think so? I don't. And by the way, I just want to live in a happy Uganda.
I'm Ivan Tkundane, and this is the Ivan Show.